so much for being with us today. Today, I have a very special guest with me. Her name is Heather Simco, a life and wellness transformation coach who helps women rebuild their lives with clarity, strength, and purpose. With over 20 years of experience in leadership, fitness, and holistic wellness, Heather brings a deeply personal and practical approach to transformation. Her work blends mindset, nutrition, fitness, and spiritual growth to support women who feel like they're holding it all together on the outside while quietly struggling on the inside. Heather's journey is rooted in lived experience. After years of navigating perfectionism, people pleasing, and addiction, she reached a turning point in 2014 and began her sobriety journey. Today, more than a decade sober, she uses both her personal story and professional expertise to guide women through recovery, burnout, and major life transitions. Her mission is simple but powerful: to help women rise with resilience, reconnect with themselves, and create a life that actually feels good as it looks. Hi, Heather. Thank you so much for being with us today.
Thank you so much for having me. Appreciate being here.
Okay, this is very impressive. I love your story. The first question I want to ask you is, who are you? Who is Heather?
I've been asking myself that for years. Okay.
Then I'm just giving you a little
No,
hand
I'm kidding.
here.
that I mean that's the everyone's existential question
It
in
is.
life is who
Yeah.
are we underneath it all?
Mm.
And that has been my massive transformation, is because that 12 years ago, and for your listeners, that moment, the anniversary of that is this coming Thursday on the 30th, April 30th, is that final breakdown. Everything fell apart, ground zero, and building everything back up. So the timing of doing this means so much to me. So I'm even more grateful than I would have already been. So, to ask like, who am I, just me as a human? um First of all, most of my life I felt that I had to chase worldly titles and everything exteriorly. Like I talked about, women who you look like you have everything together on the outside, but inside you're fractured, you're broken, you're putting on so many masks that you lose track of who you are. And one thing I realized underneath with who I am is, and I'm a believer, I'm a daughter of Christ, I am a mom, I'm a wife, but underneath it all, Heather as a person, I have a warm heart. I care very deeply for the people inside of me. I know I can put up a tough exterior, but I truly love and have a passion for helping other people. And for the longest time, I wasn't sure how I could reconcile that. But having a big heart and being and allowing myself to be vulnerable and funny and happy and or sad, and allowing all those emotions to happen, whatever life brings, and feeling confident and valued and loving myself for the first time, which I know so many of us as women struggle with. That we put on the exterior things thinking that that creates a level of value, and really internally that comes from within. And that's really a lot of the transformation that has come for the past 12 years, is to come in alignment with myself, to truly love myself for who I am, my faults, my assets, everything that makes me me, of my strengths, like being able to think the way that I do, to be able to see arenas in people's lives that they may not be able to see, to be able to learn the way that I can learn, and the artistic mindset that I have is how fast I go sometimes and how slow I go sometimes. you know, to say Heather's complicated.
What
um,
would be the fun in it if she wasn't?
exactly. So I ride the waves of all of them, and now I embrace all of them, instead of where I was before. I was either hiding it, numbing it, or trying to control it. Where now I can walk into a room, and everywhere I go, the version of me that you see matches the version out inside, it all in one. I don't have to pretend to be somebody I'm not anymore. And then it gives me the confidence. If you don't like who I am, tough, because I've learned to like myself. You know, then maybe I'm not your cup of tea, but that's okay. You'll learn to love me.
Exactly. And you know, that's for me, that's the ultimate goal in life, is really, if we don't know who we are, to go and find out and
Hmm.
just be yourself, be who you're supposed to be, right?
Yeah.
Mm. So, can you take us back to the moment when you realized that something needed to change in your relationship with whatever alcohol, whatever was going on.
Yeah. So the initial point of, I mean, I had always been there, just
Mm,
kind of like the nudge. I
mm,
knew early on. I have a book coming out which will kind of summarize my life a lot easier. But my childhood was teenage pregnancy parents. Then my dad remarried and Cinderella story, verbally abusive. By the time I hit high school, I ended up using food as my first form of drug and basically coping mechanism, and gained an awful lot of weight, which then led to a lot of insecurity. Went from being very healthy and athletic to basically just eating my feelings and hiding and isolating. Um, to eventually, I was born and raised in California, then moved to New York, 3,000 miles away. Ended up on my own at 17 in college, no driver's license, no car, and just started life at ground zero. So underneath it all, I've always known something big was under there, but it just never aligned with my life. I just always knew I needed to forge forward. But when it came to coping mechanisms, I didn't know how not to use them to survive the massive amounts of feelings that I just didn't feel comfortable feeling. And it could be good feelings, bad feelings. I was always in survival mode. And so in college, drinking was normal, that because I matched my peers. They put it down and I kept going. And eventually I did stop to have my daughter, which should have been the very, very first indication for the most part, aside from some other extreme stories that should have been clear indication that if I had to put down the drink to have a kid, I probably shouldn't be drinking at all. And so 4 years later, postpartum depression, dry drunk, I thought because I could put it down for that much time, I could handle it. And it went back to, the way that was before. But the lives that I lived, we were entrepreneurs. I left my teaching job because our business was being successful. And the people that we taught enabled me. I basically could get away with doing anything because it almost like I was more sick. In spite of my drinking, it was even more and more successful. Like it didn't hold back my success. So it entirely enabled it. And so the eventual breaking point was when we semi-retired, sold part of our business, moved to sunny Florida, which is where I'm at now. Um, and I had access to all my coping mechanisms, food, alcohol, and on an abundance because it's a vacation town, and too much time on my hands. It completely spiraled entirely. Got in a car accident, and everything that all of those pieces of paper, all those titles, everything that I had chased to try and make myself feel that value, I was chasing outside and left totally empty on the inside. And so my husband and I eventually went to church. We realized we needed community because we had everything and we were entirely depressed. We're like, how do we live in paradise? And we are lower mentally than we've ever been in our lives. And that's the point at which I met with other women in recovery who introduced me to recovery program and opened that door for me. But it took a year and a half. So I knew that there was something wrong, but it took a year and a half of, I always thought that I could beat it and control it. And the only way to control it is not do it. And that's where that surrender moment happened, April 30th, where I'd get 2 months in, 6 weeks, and the windows got shorter and shorter. And finally, April 30th, I'm unfortunately driving home. I'm drinking, couldn't drive past a place without picking something up. I get home, and my husband and daughter, they're just done. And he's my best friend, and so he's not talking to me. And that's a moment at which I finally just kneel down in the middle of the night and just ask God to finally take this from me. And that's when I realized the only way to win against any kind of addiction is to surrender it and ask for help. You can't do it alone. And so that was my entire breaking point. But that was a ground zero of building who I am now and letting go of the person that I thought I was and holding on to the good parts that were there and bringing those forward and healing everything else mentally, physically, and emotionally, which is why I'm so passionate about helping women prevent that breaking point. And also, we lost a business because of my drinking. We sold part of it, but we lost the rest of it between the car accident and everything else going on. So to be at a high semi-retired in my 30s to now I'm working basic jobs starting all over again. It's like, oh, I want women to avoid that entirely. So you don't
Well,
have to hit bottom to restart for sure.
you just said that, but it took 1 year and a half.
Hmm.
I think that was amazing because unfortunately we hear stories that it it takes longer, and it never
Yeah.
happens actually.
Hmm. It's very
And
sad.
so,
Yeah.
yeah, so thank you for standing up, and thank you for saying it, and calling it what it is, and really showing up for other people. It's
Thank you. And
important.
that's honesty. That's what helped me is when you share, when other people know this. It's not, yes, the miracle happened, but I had what I had to do to finally surrender and let go. I mean, I thought trying to hold on to it or be a part of it, like I would negotiate with it. How about just birthdays and anniversaries? Oh, hey, let me just ruin the two most important days of our world.
Right.
Like that's how crazy it is. And so to finally struggle, and I couldn't outthink it. I just some and high achieving women, we loved, we're problem solvers. We think we've got, I was
Mm,
an I got a girl, I was in survival mode. And so I approach everything in life that way, and that sometimes it just doesn't work. And so and that's okay. And that then having people who can show you that that's the right way, it's humbling. But once you can put that down, now that's where you can actually bloom and grow from there, instead of being just knocked down by something that is just so destructive.
absolutely. Yeah. You talk about women who look like they have it all together but are struggling privately. What does
Hmm.
that look like, especially when it comes to sobriety?
Yes, I was so good at putting on masks, and it almost, the more successful you are, the more I call it, like, you can build a fortress. You have a moat, you've got a drawbridge. You can afford to build up the defenses, because that's what I was doing from keeping people. You wouldn't like who I am on the inside. So how and I was very vulnerable from so much hurt. So almost like the more successful women are, the more they can hide who they are, because they're showing a version of themselves they want the world to see, whether it's beauty treatments. And not to say any of them are bad, but it's a mechanism to keep people far enough away so no one asks them how they're really doing on the inside. And you can see it in their eyes. There's the minute, and I'm working in ministry a lot too, and all of the women I've helped, how are you doing? I'm fine. No, no, no. How are you really? Like, if you keep asking the question, usually by the third time, almost every last one of them eventually go, and they can let their guard down. And because I don't, it's just, I might be one of my superpowers. I can kind of see through the facade because I've done it myself. So sorry,
Yes,
ladies. Like, I have X-ray vision. Your Hermes handbags and all the wonderful things, only because I've done it myself. It's, and it's okay. And that's the thing. That's they're just they're in protective mode. They're just protecting a version of themselves to not get hurt. And that's where I want, is just to help them find that same cohesiveness of matching how worldly successful they are with having that spiritual and emotional internal success, and make that match, because then the sky's the limit. All throughout, it's everything
yeah,
else starts to balance.
yeah, absolutely. Many women don't identify as having a serious problem. What would you say to someone who is curious but feels like they're not bad, they're not that bad?
Hmm. I'm not
Like you were just saying, I can handle it.
Yeah. Um, Two things. Everyone knows. And the thing is, as humans, everyone has something. Literally, everyone has something that they use to lean on to
Yes.
cope with their emotions. Everyone's got something. And so what my goal is for you to figure out what that something is. It can be shopping, it can be anger, it can be just being a chaos junkie, it can be any number of things. Everyone has something. And my goal is to help them figure out what that something is before it becomes unmanageable. So why not clean something up if you can now, before it becomes a bigger problem and it starts wrecking the rest of your life? Because you don't have to be as bad as somebody else, but are you the best that you can be? And that's where the rubber meets the road. Who cares what other people are doing? That's on them. But really, are you living your best version of yourself? And that's where, for sobriety, and this is a huge part of my mission of Sober Boss Babe. And you don't have to be an addict to be addicted. Sober is mental, physical, and emotional as aligned, what we're putting in our bodies with our health, making sure our hormones are balanced, having clear minds. High achieving women, when you put all of these other toxins, even emotions in your world, you can't make clear decisions. You're angry. Your cortisol's up. You can gain weight. There's so many other side effects to not living your best life as a sober person. You don't have to have the A word of addict. I had to hit that point, but you certainly don't need to. Why not maximize who they are? Because they'll maximize their beauty, they'll get hair treatments and why not why not do that on the inside as well? It's like, well, I broke a nail, I got to go to the nail salon. Well, if you've got a broken emotion, why don't we fix that as well? And so inviting them into opening up that other end of it, you don't, and that's the thing, you don't have to lose everything. You don't have to go through a traumatic experience to have to rebuild. And who, and the women are ready to go, oh, so you don't have to go recover. You please prevent all of the change. You don't have to lose everything to gain everything. That's really what I say to a lot of women like that, for sure.
Yeah. Yeah. I totally relate. Yes, because there are these handicaps and I can see them. I can see them. And but don't we sometimes I think we need to hit that spot that we
Hmm.
just have had enough,
Yeah.
right? and
Yeah.
and that's the hard part. That's the
Definitely.
ah, i I can still, I function,
Yeah. I'm doing just good enough, but why is just
I
okay
love that.
okay?
Yes, I
You
love
know?
that you put it that way.
Yeah.
Yes.
Because if as high achieving women, why not? Why not be that? And like you said, everyone knows what they've got. Everyone knows when your head hits that pillow. We all know what little dirty dark secret that little handbag you're hiding in your closet, the little every, everyone has something because we're human. Everyone needs some form of mechanism. And the thing is, what I've learned with those, they don't have to go away, but they no longer have to be a secret.
Yeah.
If you're not an alcoholic, you could be at the point where you're just over consuming. You could get yourself back to having a glass of wine. Food is my first drug of choice. I can't not eat. So that's a perfect example. I still
Yeah.
have my pieces of cake, but I'm not eating a pint of ice cream for dinner anymore. You find the point at which what used to be your crutch and learn how to move it into your life. Obviously, drugs and alcohol, certain things that are dangerous to you, but even alcohol, some people can have that one glass of wine. But when it starts to that tipping point, that's where the problem therein lies. But it doesn't, and that's the thing. They always think it has to be complete deprivation. No, and that's the point of catching it before you have to completely cut it out before it's totally gone or in that point. So yeah, there's different avenues. Like I said, you don't have to give it all away. You just
Yeah.
learn how to moderation. What a concept in our world of abundance.
Yes, and it's the danger for me is when all you can think about is getting home because you're going to make dinner and you're going to have your glass of wine and you're
Huh?
just thinking of that glass of wine.
Yeah, the relief. Yeah.
That is very dangerous.
Hmm.
And yeah, that's kind of what's coming up for me right now.
And that's the thing. I love working with women to figure out where else in your day can we rearrange your chaos so that you can go, I'm so excited to have dinner and a glass of wine instead of I can't wait to get home and get the glass of wine.
Yeah,
And
that's
it's the change. Exactly. It's knowing you can have it versus thinking you need to have it.
yes.
And so when you can rearrange your nervous system that it's not waiting for that release, I talked to a woman in Australia. I'm talking. This problem is pervasive worldwide, which is so insane that we as modern women are so overconsumed with unrealistic expectations. We're running at 100 miles an hour, and it takes that coping mechanism to bring us all the way back down to zero. Instead of looking at our lives, knowing what to say no to, not being people pleasers, putting up boundaries. Where can I rearrange my day? Like, can I pay someone to do my laundry for me? Can I ask my husband? Like, where are the different things in your life that you can reorganize the stress levels so that there's a little bit of allowance for chaos when it happens? Because we live life the way life happens. You can't avoid that. Accidents, illnesses. But then you get to go, wow, I took care of myself. I organized my day. now I can take my time and simmer my dinner and enjoy it and savor it instead of craving and needing it. Because when your mind knows that that's the escape, that's when it needs that hit over and over again, and it can be, that's where you don't have to be an addict to be addicted. That's where your mind now is being trained to need that, as opposed to reorganizing your whole day, and now it becomes a special treat instead of a coping mechanism. Changing that mindset. Yeah, it's incredibly powerful to be able to do that, because that's what I've had to do with food. Like I said, I can't not eat. So I've worked so much over the past 12 years working out my relationship with food, because it's dangerous. Every time it's a battle, literally every time I decide what I'm going to eat, I'm battling with that addiction. And so I've had to address it from my own health measures. It's necessary, because what, I'm not going to not eat. I'm human. You can't walk away from that.
You need
A
to
little
eat
bit,
to
yeah,
be alive.
exactly. Yeah. So,
Yes. I like the reframe. I love the reframe. It's very powerful. How did your identity shift when you became sober? And what surprised you the most in the process?
um, the shift was very interesting because, first of all, I had to go over the shame and guilt and remorse of everything that I had to do. It was a lot of cleanup. And especially my husband, my daughter, I never had a mom figure. My biological mom didn't raise me. And then I had, the Cinderella stepmom. And so I worked very, very hard to make sure that I was the mom to my daughter that I didn't have. And my parents are multiple divorced. I've been with my husband now. We'll celebrate 24 years in July, and almost 30 years together. And so the identity shift was really getting back to who I was, and really reconnecting and making amends with my family first, and with myself, and walk through how much pain I had caused and hurt and trauma. And and my and luckily I had my church family and my recovery family, and they all were so amazingly wonderful. And that's the thing, if anyone is on that spectrum where they need that help, it is not a punishment. The level, they will love you till you love yourself. And that was really what I needed, was just, and there were old timers. There were people there who had more years sober than I had years alive, and they turned into my grandparent figures, parent figures, and helped me stitch back together, realigning the way I saw life, the way I approached everything. And from there, that's where that person who I was inside of me, that 4-year-old version of Heather, we all have that little girl inside of you, to then go, it's okay to be that person. I don't have to run from that anymore. I can be that person now. And so that transition, and having those really healthy, loving environments, to know everyone's like, oh, she's raw, you know. And I was so surprised that even with as much hurt as I had presented to everyone, how much they gave me an allowance to relearn. Basically, it's like a fawn learning how to walk. Like, I had to literally relearn how to do life on life terms, and for them to be so gentle with me and loving. And that was truly the miracle of it all, of really being down on myself. That was the hardest part. Learning, forgiving myself was 100% one of the hardest things to do, because I caused so much pain. And that's most everyone, and humans in general, but especially addicts. You just, because the biggest tipping point is, you get to the point where you don't want to do it and you can't not do it. And you don't know why. And you're like, why do I keep hurting everyone? Why do I keep doing this to myself and everyone else? And I can't stop. And it just is this insanity loop. And so, but then when that vacuum is gone, that's why these fellowship groups and having people in your life are so important, because you need to refill it with positivity and help and new tools and living, to rebuild. Like, literally, you're forging new tools to rebuild your life. And that's where, like, the real beauty really ends up happening as a result. Yeah, beautiful transformation. Like I said, I'm so fortunate I had the people around me, and that I still have a husband. But I was at the breaking point. It was, I mean, I lost the business, but it was a matter of time. I was being, I didn't kill, I mean, I didn't get in a car accident. Like, so many other things were on the brink of happening, that I'm very fortunate and very grateful that that didn't happen. And so that, oh, and facing that, even now, like, certain things come up, and that'll be a conversation where we've kind of all put it in the past, and it's like, oh, but I can handle it now, because they know that that was me and my active addiction
Mm,
versus me now, and
yeah.
approaching everything different. And then we can have those confident, mature conversations and go, okay, that, and then we can put it away. But it's part of the work, and love, the right people around you, which is so essential.
Yes. Yes, not everybody has that.
Mm-mm.
And I like the idea that community plays a big role in it.
Yeah, and that's why I personally have started my community, the women I've worked with, um, because I was so guarded. So letting people in was probably my biggest character defect
Mm,
of letting people see me for who I am, let them in, and be vulnerable around them, and then vice versa. And so, of the community that and it's on my link tree, yeah, to be able to join. These are women who are genuinely all doing life together. They're not picking each other apart. They're not judging. They're all really just there to do life together, because that glue, especially we all know post pandemic, that is the glue that keeps us together as humans, is having the proper people around you. And looking at that. And so that's what I do with a lot of my clients is what toxic relationships are not healthy for you. Whether it's work, it's home, like where are these things that are causing you this much pain unnecessarily versus a community that is so healthy. And it's hard because most of us are used to bad. It feels more comfortable than good,
yes.
you know. Been there myself. But to be able to go, same thing. You can walk in and go, huh, hey guys, I had a horrible day. Like verbally vomit on us. Like let it happen. Like this is a safe space, and that's the most essential part as humans, is to have that safe environment that you can actually lay your stuff out and everyone's okay, share the pieces, we'll pick them up together with you. And that's real true transformation happens. It's not, you can't, it cannot be done alone. I firmly believe that. I will stand by that statement. You
Mm,
can, takes people to help people, 100%.
yes. Yes. And it's a community like that, and where women actually come together. Now we start to see a little bit more of that, but a
Mhm.
few years ago it was women were very hard with other
Oh
women.
yeah. I think it's always been that way. It's just, competition, training, the world, but I think once we try and get past that, that, you know,
Yeah,
we can
it
let other women,
changes.
it's okay. We
Yeah.
got you. Like I said, are you okay? No, I'm fine. Are you okay? Yeah, sure, I'm good. Are you really? I'm sorry. I should have told you sooner, Heather. It's okay. Do you need
There
a hug?
you go.
Yes.
Oh, and it's wonderful that you can do that,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah.
It is.
Even a virtual hug. It's good.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Yes.
That steam valve, it's so much of a relief, because and that's the thing, in the recovery or communities, you realize you're not alone. And and any addiction, any mental illness wants the goal is to isolate you, to keep, it's like its own, like dirty, like thing inside of you that wants to keep it has its own self-preservation mode in any mental illness. And so it's trying to keep you away from the things that are going to make you better, because it's trying to survive. And the only way to do that is by having other people around you. And like I said, it seems counterintuitive, but when it comes to mental health, that's, you got to get it out, let other people in, and
Yeah.
I have insurance policies. Like I let people know, I'm sharing my testimony this Sunday at our church. If you see me at the office supply store, then in my office, I have a problem. If I'm at the gym all day instead of my office and doing my job, I have a problem. If I'm at my office all day and never home, like I let everyone know, like this is who I am as a person. I have these tendencies. I'm giving you permission to call me out. Or go home. Go watch some TV. Yeah, you've been here all day. Get out of here.
There you go. Funny. I don't know. I have my behavior is a little bit like when there's something like I go all in there. It's like an addiction. I go healthy or not. It's not even what we're talking about. It's just that I become very addictive to things very fast. I
Yeah,
have to be careful with that.
yeah, yes,
And it
yeah.
doesn't mean that's something like
It's not right or wrong or good or bad. And that's the thing.
exactly.
And that's the thing. It's not a moral issue.
No.
It's an illness issue. You're not bad getting good, you're sick getting well. And when you can recognize it and separate those two things,
Yeah.
then you can catch yourself getting addicted, because it's a dope it's train your brain. That's the thing. The brain is so complicated. And that's what's been so amazing about doing all the research I have over these years, is that dopamine hit as humans, we're in like dopamine overload. Our culture is surrounded by making us addicted to, as consumers,
Yeah.
to overdo everything. and we get caught up in it, and that they literally have degrees around making sure we as consumers stay locked in. And so the worst thing that could happen, sorry guys, is to wake you up. They got you by the hook. Moderation. They're like, oh darn, Heather's teaching everyone moderation. How dare you?
Oh, how dare she? Okay, so we've addressed the problem, and then what? What are other emotions or mindset changes or layers that women need to face after that?
Self-care is not it's really that internal work, and that's why for me we have the community, but the concierge, and this is the other part of my own journey as well, and finding out there's not a one size fits all. There's so many things out there. This is the perfect program. Like one piece here works from that one works here from that one, because we're all, yes, as humans, we all have general things, but each person's like different chemistry put together is a little bit different than someone else's, or their trauma or their journey or where they're at. So having someone walk through their unique situation and rebuild it appropriately, like someone may not need a fitness guide or diet help. They might need emotional help and boundary help and codependency and time management. Like everyone's got a little bit of something different. And so that's why my component is sobriety is mental, physical, and emotional, because we have to look at all three of those spectrums. Okay, this one might not need help, but these other two do. And having the mechanisms in there for building, self-care in the morning, protecting your environment, protecting your emotions, and that's getting rid of people in your life that could be toxic or hurtful or harmful. And that takes a lot of work, because we're working on no is a complete sentence, or wow, that really is an abusive relationship, or whatever the case is, working through of those. Or if it's physical, then we've got the food. So there's no one size fits all, but that's why I have a reset program that goes through all three of those in a lot of depth, so that you can build a morning routine, an afternoon routine, an evening routine, for all of these different things that you can tailor to each one of you. Like some people like tea, I like coffee, whatever that is, you can tailor the reset to build in a healthier routine to protect our hormones, our mind, so that you can find that proper balance. And then if you go off the guardrails, you have a middle to go back to, because you're going to have your weddings and your parties in life and have fun. But at least it's a one time instead of a daily thing. It doesn't become a habit. Like I joke that you have the guardrails. Like even now, in whatever I'm dealing with my mental health, I'm telling my husband, I'm like, hey, I may bump into a guardrail once in a while. I'm not going to go over the cliff again. But every once in a while, I'm going to hit the guardrail and go, oh no, that was close.
Back.
Yeah, so that's where a lot of these tools and working with women in the community and one-on-one to really dive into what that looks like for them, because someone might have 5 kids, someone might be divorced, someone might be single. Everyone's got their own unique set of circumstances that requires a very specific program to them. And I think that's what everyone is chasing after, and that's part of even the addiction of consumerism, and why they're like, why doesn't this program, I tried that program, it doesn't work. Because it keeps you on the hamster wheel. And this is a funny one. I got addicted to, this is my revelation last year. I got addicted to weight loss programs, competitions. I gained and lost the same 20 pounds for, I kid you not, probably 5 years. I'd like gain it, and then I'd win, and then I'd gain it back, and then I'd lose it again. I'm like, what am I doing? I caught myself in the insanity of it all. I was like, holy cow, I just need to lose weight for the sake of losing weight, being a healthy human being, and being comfortable in my own skin. It's like, holy cow. But you get caught up in the program thinking this is the next magic bullet. And that's where that's the thing. We want a quick fix. But in order for it to stick, one change at a time, master that one change, and then build the next thing. Then by the time you know it, like now I get up, I go to the gym in the morning. Like that's what I do. Before it was negotiable. Like some things now I do so automatically, I don't even think about it anymore. But it had to start with square one of one good habit, making that stick. Once that's automatic, then building the next one. All these other programs want you to change everything all at once. And it's so overwhelming. You get fatigued and you're like, forget that. This doesn't work. It'll look like it works for a while. And you're like, I can't keep this up. And then they fall way back. I'm like, screw it. I'm going back to old me because it's so much easier. And they're like, I hate my me. It's just overcompensation and deprivation. And it keeps you in That's why I think most people, they don't realize they're addicted to quick fixes. They're addicted
Yeah.
to the cycle and
Yeah.
not even realizing that they're stuck in that loop. So that's what I'm saying. You don't have to be an addict to be addicted to something. Most consumerism is keeping you caught and addicted to that cycle of quick fix, magic pill, magic bullet, like write things that stick, take, like you live in France. The best food takes time. All good things take time. There's your
Exactly.
candle. Like, when's food gonna be ready? It's gotta simmer. Like, we've lost touch with the best things in life happen over time and cultivating that artistry, the building, and then you have something to be proud of because it just doesn't happen overnight. It seems like the worst things in life happen quickly, but the best things happen over a slow, controlled growth over time. And then it happens so long you don't even realize when it started and where it ends. It just becomes who you are.
Yeah, absolutely. It's so funny you say that we are addicted to everything, to happen as fast as possible. I remember 8 years ago, we had the concentration span was at 9 seconds, and a goldfish is like 7 seconds or eight. And now the goldfish has a higher span than we do, because
Very
we're
sad.
just, and
Yeah.
I found myself the other day, I was watching something on TV, and there was a commercial, because we stream normally, but it was in a normal channel thing. There was a commercial in between. I grabbed my phone. What's wrong with me? Can't I just sit here, and
I
dream for
know.
5 seconds
And watch a
until
commercial.
it starts again?
Yeah.
No, I grabbed my phone and I was furiously scrolling.
I know. And then you're in there, you missed the show. Yeah. And then an hour goes by, you're like, wait, what were we watching? What was I doing?
Exactly. No,
I
but
know. I
yeah,
know.
it's incredible. I
It
was like,
is. It really
oh,
is.
oh,
And yeah, and a lot of this is just self-awareness. And that's once you that's the point of which, and that's my goal, is like you don't, if you making these realizations, I think most everyone has some level of addiction and they don't even realize it until they open their eyes. It just hasn't ruined parts of their lives yet. But it's the beginning of the end. That's the problem with my business and different things. It was so incremental. I didn't see it coming until it was gone. But if you can catch like this, you're scroll once you're aware of it, then you can do something about it. And that's where getting rid of the stigma that addiction is an icky thing, the more awareness we are of the way that our minds work and that it's not good or bad, this is just how we're wired. Now you can embrace it as humans as opposed to it being a punishment or a reward. It's just you put those aside. Punishments are that's for you're training dogs. We don't need to be trained. Like, stop. Like, we just live life on these terms. We're so far removed from just real simple, loving, basic, living. And I know you live in a different culture for sure. I'm envious of it because, like, in our culture, and it's spread everywhere. We work to live. We live to work. That's it. And then you guys work to live. Like, you can enjoy the weekends. Like, here we pride ourselves. Like, I didn't take a day off in 3 weeks. Well, that's great for your nervous system and your marriage and your family. And, you know, bravo. Everything's going to come crumbling down. You may think you're putting it all together. When do we stop and enjoy? Same thing with women. When do we stop and enjoy all of the things we're working so hard for? And even if that's just enough to say, maybe I need to do something and change because I'm really not enjoying. You worked this hard. When are you actually stopping and smelling the roses? Because I was so guilty of that. I was running to the next goal, next goal, next goal, and I never stopped to go, wow. So that's what God's like, nah, you got hit by a car. I'm going to make you stop and look at everything. Don't
yeah.
take the detour, people.
There you go. Yes.
Uh,
Yes, a lot of people say 5 weeks off every year for vacation. Don't you
Love that.
people work?
Yeah. Exactly, but my family, what we've done because we have like my husband's a pastor, like we have high stress jobs for the most part, and we don't necessarily get a weekend. It's like half Saturday, half
Of
Sunday.
course.
But we take our time off every 8 weeks. We take all of our weekends at once, and
Mm,
we guard that because. And now they're doing new studies that the most healthy people, like you guys, have at least 5 weeks of vacation. Humans need that. But Americans have the most amount of unused vacation days out of everyone. We had a lot to learn from you guys. And vice versa. We can all learn
Yeah,
something from
exactly. We
everyone.
can all learn from each other.
Exactly.
That's true.
And
Yes.
that's why we're here. Like, this is so beautiful. I love talking to people in other countries and other, because we're so there. It's amazing how much we all still have in common, being so many miles apart. Like,
Right?
there's so much beauty in that, honestly.
Absolutely. And I'm loving what you're sharing. So thank you very much for that. And I have one last big question for you, which is, what have you gained after it all came down?
My life,
What what did you gain?
my life. I was nearly dead. I really was. I gained
Mm,
my life. The beauty of life. I, to just close on this in my addiction, I did not realize what I was doing to the inside of my body. I put the drink down. A year later, I got blood work done. My liver enzymes were still high due to the leftover alcohol. A year of abstinence, and I still had damage that needed to be repaired that I couldn't see. And I was 32, 33, on my way to just like poisoning the inside of my body. I had no idea. And so to have gained my life, to have a life worth living, I was suicidal before, and now, like, to truly embrace and love living life and getting to do things puts me in a completely different spectrum. And now, I mean, what I also gained, this purpose, this passion that I have now, to be able to share what nearly killed me, literally. Like, I have tried to kill myself, like, what has literally brought me to the brink of the end, to now be able to share the story and help other women prevent not getting there. And so to gain such a horrible thing to be so beautiful is, you know, I can't express any more gratitude than living a life that can share and help other women escape, mostly the prison of our own making. And that's what I was doing. I made a gilded prison for myself. I was the one that had the key. Someone just had to help me find it. So,
mm.
but yeah, I wouldn't be here otherwise. And so my life for sure.
Thank you so much for sharing that with us. I really, really appreciate you being here. I have a few rapid fire questions for you.
Sure.
Are you
Okay.
okay? Okay. A word that defines this season of your life.
Blessed.
A book or quote that's shaped you.
It's better to have loved and lost it than to never have loved at all.
Something simple that makes you feel grounded.
Sunsets.
And what does self care look like for you?
Making sure that I take care of myself first in the morning and I'm grounded with myself before I do everything else.
Perfect. Thank you. How can people get in touch with you, Heather?
Yes, I believe I gave you my link tree, so it has all of my connections. I know you guys are in France. I don't know where your listeners are listening from. I'm hosting a retreat in Naples in October. So it's going to be a 3-day retreat, reset retreat for women. I have my website, heathersimco.com. I'm on all the social medias. It's all Heather Simco. All my handles are all the same. And I have my community. If you'd like to join me there, I'm in there. And, or if you want me to help you rebuild your life one day at a time, and my reset, all of those links are in the link tree. So there's many different ways to work with me and the women that I've worked with. So all there.
Thank you so much again for being with us today. I really appreciate it.
Thank you for having me again. I'm so blessed to be here. Thank you.